Welcome to the show, everyone. I have a fun case study show for you today. So, for those of you that don't know Ashley is one of my assistants, and I love her dearly. And she has decided that she would like to do a VIP day with me and do a sacred journey. And that came up on one of our group calls in Empower You because she not only is the customer service person for the group, she is a member of the group. So I'd love to, and you've heard her before on the podcast. I believe she did the Fit to Love. No, you did after the Manifestation Boot Camp. You were on the show for that. You've done a testimonial for me after the boot camp, the second one. So you've been around, but let's go back and introduce you and tell everybody where you're from and how you found me and how long you've been with me and why you found me and what we're going to be doing next.
Hi, JJ. Thank you for having me today. I'm Ashley. I'm in Alabama. I've been listening to JJ since 2017. I found her through Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. And I literally typed in spiritual into the search bar in Apple Podcast, and that's how I found you. And I've been listening and binging you ever since. And I've had just the best opportunities to be able to work with you. And I'm just looking forward to the future.
So Ashley, so 2017. So then your first event with me then was 2019. So 2019 was the first manifestation boot camp. I believe it was in October. And you signed up for that. And one of the bonuses for signing up was to have a session with me beforehand. So we had that, I remember. I don't know if you want to talk about, I think you talked a little bit about anxiety at that point, and I don't know what question I asked you and you busted into tears. You were very, very nervous. And so we had that call, and then you came to the event, and that was in 2019. And at that time you were working for somebody else and you had aspirations to work for yourself. Do you remember what your goals were coming into the boot camp back then?
Oh, 100%. But I actually did Releasing What Weighs You Down, but I did it virtually. And then, yeah,
Oh,
so you did the
that same year,
manifestation.
2019?
I think it might have been the year prior.
Okay.
But yes, I had done one of your events virtually, and then I saw the manifestation boot camp, and I contacted you, and I was like, I really want to go. I'm having some financial things. You're like, well, I can help you make a payment plan and stuff. So you were very gracious with that. So I got to come, and my goal 100% was career focused because I just had my son in March. And I'd been with a company for 16 years and I was very comfortable with it. And that's what I knew. I'd started there when I was 20 years old. So it's all I knew. And I didn't want to be away from home for 40 plus hours a week. I wanted to raise my son. I wanted to be able to be at plays and be the mom who's at field trips and all that good stuff. So I wanted to find a way out of the 9 to 5. So I came to your boot camp, and it's just everything's happened for me. I manifested it.
It didn't even take a whole year, I don't think.
um,
Or maybe it was just a year.
oh, I think it was right out of year because the boot camp was in October,
Mm-hmm.
and then by September you were my first client. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you went full on and got booked quickly and haven't looked back. So
Oh yes, I've been very lucky, very blessed. So thank you for getting the ball rolling.
absolutely. So, all right. So let's talk about what your goals are now.
Oh, goals now. So I've been saying that my ADD has gotten bad, and I was asking your advice on that. And you were like, yeah, of course, there's brain chemistry and all that stuff. But, just knowing you as a person, I feel like maybe you're not getting your emotions out and all that good stuff that I usually try to keep in. And I just started crying like our coaching call from 2019. And because I knew it was true, like things have just been kind of crazy here the past couple of years. So I know I'm bottling things in and not putting myself first and self-care like I was, right after the boot camp. So life has just gotten back to its uh oh gosh, I'm not going to think of the right word, but it's just been tough here lately. So I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with my emotions, and that's pretty much it.
I just pulled up your chart
Okay.
and because I know you're a Virgo. So I already knew to say that Ashley's a Virgo. And one of the traits about Virgo is sort of perfectionistic, do the right thing, make sure that people know that you're doing it the right way. There's something about rightness or following a certain path, the right path. Like it's about structure most of the time.
Yes.
And so emotions don't really play very well with earth signs that are looking to keep things linear and structured, because emotions are all over the place now. But your moon is in Pisces, so your moon is the exact
Yes.
opposite.
I am very emotional for a
You are
Virgo.
very emotional, but you do or do not process your emotions on a regular basis.
I would say not on a regular basis. Yeah, I kind of just shove everything in, try to be positive and make everyone happy. And then, it's gotten to the point where every week I'm kind of having a little breakdown just because I'm just stuffing everything in.
Okay, so your Mercury's in Virgo, your Venus is in Libra. We'll talk about that when you get here. Your Mars is in Sag, your true node is in Gemini, your Chiron is in Gemini. Interesting. We're going to look up all of that. And where is your ascendant? Do you know your birth time? Oh, there it is. Your Sag ascendant. Okay, there we go. All right, so you're a Sag ascendant. Okay, so that tells me some things. So now when we were on this coaching call for Empower You, and I said this, I also offered you knowing that, so there are a couple different paths when someone knows that they're repressing their emotions. There's the path of let me learn how not to, right? And that is important. Everybody needs to know that. There's all the things that I teach on the show and that I do in the groups. Like that is a very useful skill about understanding and how to identify the emotion, how to get identifying the need that the emotion was caused by that wasn't being met, and then to get the need met. All very empowering things. And you're going to do some of that because I'm putting in your package the Roadmap to Emotional Healing and the Anatomy of Emotion courses. So I want you to really start to learn those. But what I want people to understand is that when you have a habit and pattern that's going on for so long, it's comfortable. Even though you may say, but I'm not comfortable, but you're so comfortable in the discomfort that you're not willing to break out of that. So back when, I don't remember when it was, it might have been in our group calls for Empower You, I had mentioned going down this path of how to change your mind. Oh, I was probably just working with you because I was trying to get Michael Pollan on the show to talk about how to change your mind. And you said, oh, we've been watching that and I'm so curious about that. So you let me know that that was a subject you were interested in.
Yes.
And a lot of people aren't. I mean, they kind of are, but they're not really. Like, let's take Doug for an example, right? Doug is very supportive of the work that I'm doing in the world when it comes to these medicine journeys, but he is not very interested in doing one yet.
Sure.
I would call Doug a classic control freak, but not because, but it doesn't come out in the same way it does for everybody else. He's not Virgo control. He's not about spreadsheets and like he is with his money. Okay, let's just say that he is with his checking his bank account and his money. He is, but he's not anal. He's not, OCD about things. He's not, he let go of being like really super neat in some of our common spaces because he knows I'm not going to. So he's relaxed into that. But when it comes to emotional things, he doesn't want to lose control. And I was thinking about that today on our hike. And I mentioned this in the podcast that I did with Christian, the shaman, that, I'm on this hike and I'm thinking to myself, getting prepared for these interviews. All right, people that don't want to explore this are afraid. And maybe they don't think they're afraid. They're like, oh, no, that's not for me. That's not for me. Which is really, yes, you're afraid. And what are you afraid of? You're afraid of losing control. Okay, well, what does that mean? So, Ashley, do you have any fear of losing control?
Not when it comes to healing myself.
Right. I don't sense that from you. And especially because you were interested in it and you knew about it before I knew about it and you had watched that and you were open to that. But I thought to myself, what are people actually afraid of? What does losing control mean? That you're going to cry? If you're afraid of crying, you got to lose control because y'all need to cry. Especially if you're afraid of it. But I don't know what else people think that means. Maybe there's a lot of anger inside of somebody and they're afraid maybe they'll do something that might hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. But in a controlled environment like the one that I provide, or the one that if you come with Christian and I to do the sacred journey there, like that's not going to happen. You're very monitored. So I'm just curious. I'm putting that out there to you guys to think about if you're that person who says that scares me, because there are only 4 effective ways to change and reprogram your subconscious mind. Right. And this is from Dr. Bruce Lipton. And again, if you've listened to the podcast, Sacred Shaman Journeys with Christian, you've already heard this, but let me remind you. In those 4 ways, and this is from Dr. Bruce Lipton's event in Arizona that I went to. So the first is your subconscious and your hypnosis things, the things that deal with subliminal things. And that is your, there's definitely hypnosis. There are binaural beats that you could use. There's also ways that you program yourself every day by like when you watch the television and the news, that's hypnosis. So if you're watching all the bad things that happen in the world, you're literally being programmed with worry. If you read the paper or you get up in the morning and think, what bad thing do I need to worry about today? Like you're literally indoctrinated in this fear. So the things that you choose to listen to, my podcast, or how to be with people, those all have a hypnosis quality of sinking into your subconscious. So that was the first one. The second one is habit and mindfulness, which is something that I deal directly with in all the programs that I'm doing, right? Is to help you guys change your habits, to become more mindful and conscious, and to make different decisions and to stretch yourself into new habits to change those neural pathways. Super learning and energy psychology. I'm doing that too. That's also sort of in there with some of the things that we're doing. But the thing that really spoke to me the most on this presentation for this slide was major life experience. And in parentheses, it says spiritual. So one of the best ways to reprogram your subconscious mind is through a major spiritual life experience. So how many of you are having regular, major spiritual life experiences? Probably not most of you, because it's something that might happen if you wait long enough. But if you wait long enough, you won't have any control over it. It will just be happening to you because you will have manifested something so big that you can't outrun it. This kind of sacred journey that we're talking about is a self-induced, being a willing participant in having a major life spiritual experience to help reprogram your subconscious mind. So I said that to Ashley because, again, while we could go down the path of, while I'm sure you could probably find and do some therapy and it would probably be beneficial on some level for you to practice addressing and talking about your feelings, I don't know that that will be as effective as allowing out the bundle of emotions that you have, identifying them, and then finding out through your own body and through your own subconscious, like what the right path is for you and what the fears are, what's really underneath there. And it isn't just the medicine. I'm having Ashley do this whole package where she's actually going to microdose first and do a couple of the courses. So that way we have all of the data to look at before we go in, so that we're understanding what may come up. And we may not know, because again, I've had several of these where you think you're going to go in knowing what's going to come up. You don't. You get to be like, bye, see ya. And then the mushrooms go, hi, I'm your new teacher. I'm going to take you on this journey. You don't know where it's going to go. And we will reveal to you what you need right now, what you need to release, what you need to see, what you need to hear, how you need to feel, what's in your way. And that's the beauty of this plant medicine. So yes, help ADD symptoms, which you put as lack of focus, irritability, and anxiety, get over past rejections, and help your scarcity mindset. That is sort of what we're starting with. So what are your thoughts about when I said to do this? Besides, obviously, and yes, I helped Ashley make it happen with a payment plan, because I understand some of these things are major expenses. She's flying here from Nashville. She is not allergic to cats, so she's staying here at the house, of course. And it's a 2-night event. It's a VIP day, basically. And I just want to help you, and I want you to have relief, and I want you to shine and soar and break past these limitations. And while I know my podcast helps you stay positive, it's not enough.
That's just so true, because I'm sitting here thinking about who I was in 2017 when I first found you. And I probably would have been a person who was scared of doing this type of thing and wanted that control. So just the fact that I'm ready for this and like realizing like, no, I want to get over my shit. Like, I don't want to keep repeating this. And I realize I'm in this pattern. So I want to break that pattern. So I don't know. I'm just really excited and thankful.
Good. Do you have any fears?
I don't driving in California, but
okay.
none regarding the journey that we're going to take. Honestly, I feel like pure excitement.
Good. Exactly where I want you to be. Do you think you would have been, and this is just a serious question. Let's say someone was doing it locally near you. Would that be something you would also consider?
I would definitely want to like go down a road of reviews and hopefully somebody that I knew that had done it before. I mean, there would definitely be a trust factor, because you don't know like what they're giving you. I don't know. I trust you. I mean, I've been with you for 6 years, listening to you for 6 years, so it's easy to kind of hand myself to you.
Yes. Well, that's kind of why I asked that, because I had recently aired the show about Christian the shaman, and I felt ready for that sort of group experience that I did with him. And because we were at Bruce Lipton's event, and there were just some synergies, and the universe was just very clear that this is a path I needed to take with him. And I did say, if I was ever offered, I'd say yes. And there I was being offered, and I said yes. But when it comes to, and I've done a psilocybin journey with a group, and it wasn't a great experience. It wasn't a bad experience. It taught me a lot of things, but it wasn't necessarily internally helpful. It was more like sort of observationally, informationally helpful. I got to experience a strand and a dosage that I didn't think was very effective compared to what I was doing. And I got to compare and understand the differences of the strains that are out there, because they're all very different, and got to really, I guess, settle into what I'm using and be testing it against other things and being really, really, really happy with what I have and what it does and how it leads you. So the trust is a thing. And I want to just do it with people that I work with, or people listen to the show that have a relationship, and that also understand that my goal is not for you to be doing this as a one time. Like, this is an illumination that then will have a path for you. And that path, you will be, I want to have it outlined as to what behavioral changes you're going to need in order to sustain and expand past some of this stuff. Now, some of it, I'll tell you, this last one I did, I melted away and crossed over, and the veil was done. Like, I was literally on the other side. I'll tell you all about it another time, because it's going to be it's part of a bigger story. But there was a knowingness, a calmness, I had no idea where it was going. I wanted it to go in a certain place. I was testing out dosages, and I did one before somebody had come. One of my clients, Sonia, had done her first journey, and I dosed her higher than I didn't want to give her something I hadn't done. So I wanted to do it. So I did it. And then all this anger came up about my mom, and this frustration, like recognizing this pain that I've been holding on to. And I cried like loud and hard. And then I realized, like, I also didn't leave myself enough time. Like, I wanted to go deeper. And so after that was over, I had the one coming up with Christian to do the San Pedro. And in between, I thought, well, I don't want to go to him with this sort of, I'm not done yet. Like, there's still something here. So I'm like, I'm going to do the next level, because I want to clear any of that. I want to go completely clean and open to whatever's going to happen. And so I did this next level, and oh gosh, I was like, oh, okay. So I now understand. 2 is a nice ride. 3 opens the door. 4 crosses you over. And I mean, it was the night and day difference. And the things that I had come out of the second journey, where it kind of unlocked some pains I was having, was just not even there. Like, I was like on this thing going, thinking, okay, I'm on this, like, when's something gonna, and then boom, I was reaching out to a loved one who has passed away and having a conversation. It was just profound. And
Wow.
Anyway, and it was so healing. It was really, really, really healing. And it was really amazing. And it's a portal. It's like a portal to their soul and to like non-physical. So I'm excited to facilitate this for you and to hold that space for you. And I'm glad you're excited, because I wouldn't want you to be nervous. I think that trust issue is one thing. When I went to do the stuff with Christian, they all looked at me like, hey, well, do you do this with psilocybin? And I said, no, it's one-on-one, because everyone's having their own journey. Although Sonia is convincing me, she's like, you have to do this with more people. More people need this. And I said, well, the only way I would do it is if we were in places where everyone had their separate rooms, because I don't want people being in different places. I want you to have your own experience. Your lessons are different than someone else's lessons, which is why I think it needs to be one-on-one, but which is why it is at the way it is in terms of a VIP day for me, because you're getting my focused attention for 48 hours. So, on you and whatever's going on with you. So it's kind of high level touch, but I can't wait for you to experience it. And, yeah, so I'm excited to to do this. And I guess I'm sharing this show and I'm wanting to see where Ashley is starting in terms of, so can you just talk a little bit about, some of the blocks that you think you have? Like, so we have the goals of, you said ADD symptoms and lack of focus, irritability, anxiety, getting past rejections, helping scarcity mindset. Okay. What do you want that you don't currently have now? Like, what's the next step for you?
I think the main thing the needs list, like I want to feel peace, like at all times. I know that's not like humanly possible, but for, most part of my days, I would like to feel peace. And a lot of times I'm feeling irritable or anxiety or angry. So I want to feel peace. Yeah. At peace with myself and with my family and everything.
Okay. And there will be several steps to get to peace. I think that the journey will definitely show you that. And I think you'll feel that too, because it's very grounding. It is very peaceful to feel like everything dissolve away. Your ego, your being, like you just become one with everything. It's very grounding. And I think as a Virgo, you'll really appreciate that. At the same time, the fluidity of kind of crossing realms with with your Pisces moon, part of what probably keeps you not in peace are certain beliefs that you have, and certain memories and beliefs about yourself, beliefs about the world that are separate versus seeing a bigger picture. And
Sure.
and we can talk about it, but until you experience it or until you embody it, it's a little harder to grasp. So I'm hoping that some of the work that we do while you do the courses in preparation for this will help you practice. So I'm going to give you the anatomy of emotion today and the roadmap to emotional healing to start. And so that's, a 4-week course basically. And basically we're about a month out since you're going to be here. So you can do it in less than 4 weeks. You can do it in 2 weeks, but I want you to implement the things that you learn. And,
Okay.
and there's some paperwork you're going to have to send back to me. The core wound work, you'll send back to me when you complete it. And we will talk about it when you're here. We'll kind of do a little bit of a map the first day that you get here. And then and just to sort of see where some of those core wounds are for you. And then to see what comes up when you go in.
I mean, I'm not just excited about the medicinal part of it. Like I'm excited about like getting you for 48 hours and like talk about this stuff. Like it's just really a once in a lifetime thing. So yeah.
Well, hold on. It's not a once in a lifetime thing. So here's what I want. So you may not want this for you, but let me, I don't want to impose. Let me invite you to
Okay.
think bigger.
Okay.
So I know that you basically have your own business right now, and how you led into that business, you perfectly manifested between me and Doug and all his clients and all my clients, how to get full very fast. So one of the luxuries that you've had and one of the beautiful manifestations is you didn't really have to work very hard to get booked very fast, right? A lot of
Oh,
people
and
have to market. You didn't have to have anything.
that was literally like part of my saying because I was so scared to put myself out there. I was like, please let this happen without me like having to publicly say it.
Okay, and it happened. But I
Yeah.
want you to think bigger, because now that you've
Okay.
done that, I want you to put yourself out there and stretch, because I want more for you. If you could add another $20,000 or $50,000 to your year, how would that make you feel?
I think that goes to something deeper because I really like what I'm doing. Like I like my schedule right now and the freedom that I have. So I feel
If you
like
didn't have to change anything about your schedule or your freedom.
oh yes, no, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Okay. Because I want you to consider and try on, like when you said it's a once in a lifetime thing, but what if it wasn't? What if you had the ability to do it whenever you wanted it? Wouldn't that be the ultimate freedom and peace, knowing that if I feel stuck, I have the resources to ask for help, I have the time, I have the flexibility, I have the schedule.
Which my scarcity mindset, like it gives me a little like I felt tension right under my heart because I mean that's my ultimate goal is to be able to come to see you once a year. What a treat. But right now it's like a once in a lifetime thing in my mind. though.
Right. Because
Yeah,
there's a belief somewhere in there that says I don't deserve, or there's partly, am I worthy enough, or am I going to have to give up freedom for money? Right.
sure.
So the scarcity piece says, I haven't seen it, so I don't know it exists. I don't know how to do that. And I'm so afraid of putting myself out there. I don't want to be uncomfortable in order to stretch into that, which is, again, why you said, I don't want to put myself out there. I want it to be easy. And that's exactly what you got. But then there's the next level for you of saying, well, okay, you did that. So why don't we grow a little bit more so you don't have to even think about for a second. If I want, I'm going to go get it. I don't have to see if I can reduce this bill and negotiate this over here. And, I can just do it because I have that abundance in my life. I have that flexibility, that freedom, and that abundance to do anything that I want to do.
Yes, that's the ultimate goal. Like,
Okay. So let's stretch into that a little bit more.
Okay.
If you're willing, because otherwise, so let's talk about peace really quick. So you want peace in your life. Part of peace comes from knowing that you're safe in all ways, and having a trust and having self-love and compassion. So when we're in environments where we don't feel safe, or we don't love ourselves, or we don't have trust, then that's what kicks us into these beliefs that cause a lack of peace. It causes the worry, causes the anxiety of like, I don't know. So I think that for you, the journey alone is not going to sustain peace. It might show you what you need to let go of to find peace. But at the same time, I think that, you're so happy. I think what you were able to accomplish, because, Virgo's again, you settle in a way for, this is like way better than where you were. So you're like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. And now you're here and you won't let yourself dream bigger because you're like, oh, no, but I was there before and now I'm here and this is great. And I love this. Okay. But why can't we dream bigger?
I like my box.
Exactly. Because you like your box. Okay. But the box has limitations.
Sure. Yes. Got 4 walls around me.
Got 4 walls around you. And I'd like to extend those walls a little bit more. Let's make the box a little bit bigger. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. And that doesn't mean I'm not asking you to do anything specific in this red hot moment. I just want to plant the seed for you.
Okay.
That while you have made a 180 turn and you're happier and people noticed it. And I know you've given lots of praise to the things you've learned from the show as well as from the boot camp and that kind of thing. And you have had growth, but I don't want you to get stuck again in something for 16 more years that you're happier with, but you still feel this level of, God, I wish I had this. Or I wish this was easier. Part of that piece isn't there because you've decided that you can't have more, or that more will be too hard, or that success brings a bigger burden, or that I'm not worth it, or I can't do it. I don't believe in myself to do that. I think that's where your real next journey goes. And so the work we're about to do right now in the next month before you get here with the programs is going to start to identify those, so that way you can become aware of those belief systems that run your show, that the little voice that keeps saying to you, oh, don't give me a saying. It's like, don't count your chickens before they hatch, or don't give me a Southern saying that says like,
oh gosh. See, I know I have one great accent, but my husband is the true country boy and he has all the good sayings.
Well, but I know there's some of those.
I'm from Nashville. I'm from the city.
Right. Well, there's some that mean like simmer down and like, just like be happy with where you are. Don't ask for too much. They're very Christian based. Like, it's okay to be poor. And and money is bad. And
yeah, like being poor is almost like you're holier than thou. Like, you're not the person with money who is selfish in a way because you have money and you probably did bad things to get that money.
Yes.
Which I don't think that's something people think like to a society today, but that's what our generation probably beforehand thought and how they were raised. So it's like, I can't, generational thinking. It's just embedded in us. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's inherited emotional belief systems. Right. Right. Absolutely. So, okay. I've got some other ideas about things I'm going to have you do between now and the time you get here to continue removing those. And again, if you don't want more money, I won't push you there, but I'm just saying, I think that wouldn't it be nice? What a gift. If you're going to work hard, even in the hours that you work, what stops you from allowing in more?
Myself.
And again, if you don't want more, Ashley, we don't have to
Oh
go
no,
there.
no, I do, but then I just go down like this roller coaster of business and things that are supposed to happen in the future, and yeah, it would be a longer recording.
I understand. No worries. Well, we're going to talk about when you get here, and you're going to think about it and work with it in the programs that you're about to do before you get here for the prep, and then we'll apply your experience to that, and we'll see where they meet, and we'll see what's next for you. Because what I want this to be for you is not a one-time illumination, but a deeper seated transformation.
I agree, and I thank you because you're still on my vision board right here. I haven't taken it down because all these things, like even though I've manifested most of them, like it still rings true. Like if I were able to like work with you one-on-one once a year, that would be the dream. So I'm keeping you out there.
Can we put a new picture? Or
Yes, I'll update your headshot because
can
it's
we?
you and Lisa right now, and I love Lisa, but you're my goal.
But I have personal pictures of you and I in Vegas. And the
Oh,
ones from when you came
yes.
out for the podcast mastermind, I have, although I'm not looking so great in those, but I'm happy to, no one's going to see them. But I can resend you those photos and you can post a new one. And of course we'll take some when you're here, but maybe it's time for a new vision board, like an updated vision board.
Oh, no, that's a really great idea.
Let's put
Yeah,
that on your to-do
homework.
list. I want you to take a picture of your current vision board. Okay. You're going to take a picture of your current vision board.
Okay.
And then you're going to make a new one before you come. And then you can take a picture of the new one also. And then you can show them to me, because I also want you to, after you actually take the picture first of the old one. And then I want you to, on each item, because you just said you've manifested most of the things that are there. So I want you to say when this vision board went up, which is probably 2019-ish.
Yes.
Okay. So 2019, and I want you to list the things that are on there and when you manifested them. So I put this up on January on whatever in 2019, and I manifested it by this date. Okay. And I want you to list all the things and all of the dates of the manifestations. And then I want you to make your new board, and we're not going to put any dates on it, but we're just going to make the new board, and we're going to rinse and repeat, but with a higher elevated. It's great that you get to see the success of that. I still have the board. I mean, it's somewhere near me here, that I have used multiple times to manifest relationship. I'm going to say I originally manifested my ex-husband with that board, but then I'm going to say I also used it again and got Doug, along with all the other practices that I was doing. So, when it works, but there's also time for expansion, especially when you look at it and you go, yeah, check, check, check. Now what's next?
No, I agree.
Great.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that before.
Yay. Okay. All right. Any last things you want to tell people that are listening about your past, your present, your goals, your fears, your intentions, why you agreed to do this, just besides the fact that I asked you to?
I'll just put yourself out there. I know it can be so hard, but putting the work into yourself is really worth it. And I know it can feel like really selfish sometimes, but it's not selfish because you're making the world and people around you better by like raising your vibration. So do the work and yeah, let JJ help you.
All right. I'm excited to start this journey with you, Ashley. So stay tuned for the results show coming next. Welcome back, everyone. I know you just heard the before, but now we're here for the after, and there's been some time in between for us. This is the after part of the case study with Ashley about her anxiety and emotional processing. And it's happened. We had the journey, and we're here to talk about it and to share the results and what happened. So welcome back to the show, Ashley.
Thank you, JJ. I'm very excited to be back.
All right. So last we left, you wanted to get rid of your anxiety and to really figure out how to do better with it, because it was sort of, distracting you, if you will. And it didn't really leave you feeling good in your body or like solid in what you were doing with your life. And so why don't you tell everybody, well, what she did past that first show that we did. Nothing had happened yet. After that, part of Ashley's package was also to do the roadmap to emotional healing. So I gave her the roadmap to emotional healing access, and she did that along with the core wound exercise. And then when she arrived, we worked on that also as part of this journey. So why don't you tell everybody first a little bit about everything leading up to it and a little bit about the journey itself?
Well, the roadmap to emotional healing, I'm very familiar with because I've been very fortunate to go to a lot of your events. And that's something that you really teach us on how to do. But it was a really nice refresher course of things that I really wasn't implementing. But what was really eye-opening to me was the core wound work. Um, I've always prided myself in my independence and not needing anybody. And then I looked back at my core wounds and saw my happiest moments in life were when I was surrounded by my family and we were all happy. And I was hurt most in life whenever I felt rejected or not good enough. So that was really opening my eyes to what I needed to feel happy and how I kind of put that defense mechanism on to be super independent and just kind of rely on myself. So that was really huge to me.
And did you figure that out before we started looking at the map piece?
No, it happened during the work.
Okay, when we were together.
Yes.
Okay. So someone had asked me recently, I was interviewed on a podcast, and she said, how do you kind of do this work? And I said, well, there is an exercise that you can do. And I've sort of worked with this exercise, and some people can look at the exercise and get a lot out of it and really make major changes and see the connections. But then there are people that do the exercise and can't make the connections because it's a 7-page document. Like it's a literally, you go through this big long thing and you don't really understand. You're just putting things down. So you're not extracting the pinpoints that I'm looking at, the things that make the connections, the bottom line, if you will, like the core wounds and the patterns. That's why I created the core wound map this year with the rewire program. And so basically what I did with you was like a mini rewire. We made the core wound map, but we didn't have time, like lots of time, to sort of implement and keep you accountable to sort of pushing past and doing those things. But what we did do was we did rewire you in a different way with other help, in a much faster way. But let's talk about, so I'll lay out the journey for everyone so you can sort of hear what happened. So Ashley came in the night before, and of course, all kinds of fun things were happening for her, really pushing her buttons, getting her really raw, really ready. I think I picked her up at the train station. She was crying because, the train station wasn't the train station I thought she was going to. Anyway, so let's just say she couldn't get her car. Like all of the things happen. So when you think, oh, because I know people still think this, if something doesn't work out smoothly, they immediately go, oh, must not be the right thing. Oh, this must be a mistake. This must be a sign from the universe. And it's like, no, it's an upper limit. Or it's positioning you, it's opening you, it's readying you for what's coming next. And you even said that when I picked you up. You said, this is probably getting me ready. Like I'm in the perfect emotional space. I'm frazzled. I'm like off of, I'm not in my normal way of being, and I'm ready to sort of deal with this. So she comes in, and then we have dinner, and then, sort of relax and then go to bed. So the next morning, there's usually always a hike or some exercise with Doug. There's no food other than coffee in the morning because you want to be able to take the medicine on an empty stomach. And then when we came back, there's a little bit of a ritual that happens. Even with one person, we want to make this ceremonial. So we did some of the things in the ceremony, and one of the things that we did was pull some cards. And I thought it was really interesting. That I had her pull 2 cards. I have a whole bunch of decks, and I usually ask the people who pull cards to gravitate towards whatever speaks to them. And so Ashley pulled out the angel deck first. And do you remember what card you pulled?
It was the body card.
What did you think when you pulled that?
Of course. Like, of course, this is what I get. Because I feel like that's something that I'm always working on is my body and my relationship to my body. So it was kind of disappointing because I was like, I want something bigger. I don't want this that I've been working on my whole life. I mean, at
Right.
least my whole adulthood. So yeah, that was my first thought. Like, yeah.
And I wondered that too. So sometimes, even though it's guided, we're in the space, you pick the thing, we trust, but it's not so obvious. Like we want more. We want something different. We want something magical. We want something like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I actually felt it too. I thought, huh. Now I thought it was perfect, but I didn't know how perfect it was until, of course, after your journey was over. But so then I had you pick another card because, hey, we can pick another card. So then you picked from the Starseed deck, you picked You Are Not for Everyone. Appreciate what I do have and make an appreciation list. Right. So what did you think about that card?
Whenever you pulled that, no, I pulled that card and you were reading it to me, like I instantly started crying. Um, I might start crying now because I had just recently, through the past couple of months, been really struggling of not feeling light, of really feeling like the people around me and people that I know, social media. Like I just was having this feeling. I was talking to my sister, like I just feel like people don't like me. And so to pull that card was uh, synchronicity, or I don't know what the right word is, but it was
Divine timing.
divine timing.
Okay, well, you have your cat here to help to see. No, Mom, I do love you. You are loved. But okay, so divine timing, you pulled this card. This had just happened. You're now in tears. From there, and this particular medicine takes about an hour to kind of kick in. And so I thought the best use of our time after the first beginning ceremony, the opening ceremony, plus the cards and the sort of the blessing and the sort of centering and grounding was for us to do the core wound map, right? To really look at what are we dealing with, what things from your past. And I actually I have it written down here, but I also have it up on my screen. So of course it's much better looking on my screen. So your core wound map, do you want to share with anybody, or do you want to share what you learned? I mean, I know you did say about the family and that you recognize that your happiest moments are with your family, and then your saddest moments were also when you felt rejected. Anything else come out of seeing this map sort of put together?
Well, actually, I'm just kind of realizing that whole starseed card, not feeling, accepting your weirdness and who you are, like that related to my core wounds because I felt rejected and isolated a lot when I was young. So uh, that was definitely something I needed to work on. So,
Would it be
divine.
okay if I share some of your map?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what we extracted her map from her core wound exercise was that her top 3 core wounds were rejected, disapproved of, and ignored. And then when that happens, she feels hurt, annoyed, and embarrassed. And then her reaction is to perform for love, repress, or withdraw. So, so this anxiety that you were feeling, and I don't know if you knew it then. I mean, maybe intellectually you knew it then, and I'll wait to see if that has changed for you now. But one of the reasons why I had recommended that Ashley do this, I knew she was interested because she had watched How to Change Your Mind and she was super interested, and that it wasn't anything that scared her at all. And when it comes to anxiety, anxiety is a lot of just emotional repression. That's really what anxiety is. It's holding in all the things that you're feeling without having an outlet for them and without processing, without like problem solving them, right? So if you have a negative emotion, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, if you have a negative emotion, it's because there's a need that is not being met or the perception of a need not being met. So your interpretation might be off. So if you have that, then we want to figure out what it is so we can solve it so it can go away. But if we're never solving the problem of what's going on with me, then it just stays there. And if your perception of a thing that's not being met continues to tell the same story over and over again, that's not true, then you continue to activate those feelings over and over again every single day because you haven't problem solved them or seen them from a different point of view. That's what emotional processing is. It's I have this feeling. What is this feeling about? What is the feeling? What is the need? How can I get that met? I get it met. Cool. It's gone. All right. So this is what processing is. If we go, oh, I have a feeling, but I'm going to ignore it, it just gets like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you keep stuffing it down and stuffing it down. And that is exhausting for your body. And not to mention, that's why you spin. So all that nervous energy, that nervous system's like, I'm going to break. The dam is going to break. I can't hold any more emotions back. Okay. So this was important for me to show Ashley based on her core wound work that one of her go-to reactions is to withdraw her whole life and to repress. So if that's what you're doing, then that's where the anxiety is coming from. This isn't some random thing. This is like very, very strategic in how we can figure that out. And then of course, a lot of things on the core wound map also look at how you do these things to yourself, how this belief about you from others that was created by family and people that raised you in environments like that. But how do we continue moving on with that? How do we activate and strengthen that wound by the way we treat ourselves? So just like you pulled the starseed card, it's about looking for acceptance outside of yourself versus accepting you for who you are, and then allowing people who see you for who you are, because you see you for who you are, become attracted to you and want to connect with you and want to be with you, versus when we're looking outside of ourselves for love and attention, we're kind of either we're molding ourselves, we're changing ourselves, we're oppressing ourselves, we're judging ourselves, we're leading with worry and being out of alignment. And so again, all of these things lead to feeling a sense of lack of control and a lack of freedom. And those things also cause fear and worry and anxiety. So so we did the map, and then I had some suggestions for Ashley after the journey, no matter what had happened. Okay. And all right, so let's talk about the medicine. Let's talk about your experience. Let's talk about what happened. So, all right, so it's down the hatch, and we're looking at the time, and we're enjoying outside. And what was the first? Actually, then we came inside. What was the first indication? Do you remember, Ashley, of knowing that at least something was slightly different?
It was probably 2 hours into it, I would say. I felt like it took a little longer for me. And I was laying on the little couch in my little area that you gave me. And I'd put my eye mask on. And I kind of saw like swirls of color with, my eyes closed. And I felt like my body was like sinking into the couch. And you had a playlist playing. And it felt like my body was part of the music. I think I described it as it felt like my body was waves, like it was actually moving with the music. So that's when I knew something was happening.
Again, I've been learning from others in terms of how to choose that, right? And there are different criteria for that, but intuitively, I just thought this was a good place to be. And I kind of had talked you through it before doing it. And so then I'm sitting here and I'm watching you, and I can see it almost looks like you're sleeping. Like I was concerned that you were sleeping. And I was like, oh my God, she's asleep. And so here I am thinking, oh God, what's happening? Nothing's really happening. Is she sleeping? Can you sleep during this? She took a lot. What's happening in there? And so I think at one point I did sort of walk over and like just check on you or make a little bit of noise. And I asked if you were like how you were doing, or if you wanted more, or I forget what I asked you. Actually, I did offer you more later. And sometimes I've learned that's not effective, but actually for you, I actually believe it was effective because it made the effects last longer. So let's talk about what happened as you started to come out of, or not come out of, but come out of the sleep, the flowy thing that was happening with you.
Yeah, you came over and asked if I was okay. And I was like, yes, I'm fine. I'm really into my body right now. And then I asked you if I could get up and use the restroom. And I really started to get into my own head. And I was feeling kind of disappointed in myself because I had heard of other journeys where people had they were hearing their guides, they were able to talk to a loved one who passed, they were having out of body experiences. And I was like, I am like having the best meditation of my life. Like I've never meditated this deeply, I've never felt this way with my body, but I'm not experiencing what others are experiencing. And I had laid back down and I couldn't get comfortable, and I think you could tell that. And you're like, do you want to go sit outside? And we went outside and I started to cry. And I was like, I'm just so disappointed in myself. Like, I feel like I'm too fat. And of course, that goes back to my body and my shame towards my body. And I was like, was the dose not enough for what a big girl I am? I've done something wrong. And you kind of explained to me, like, everyone's journey is different. Like, that's not what you were meant to do. You weren't meant to have this out of body experience. And we kind of talked about how what I was feeling was what I needed to feel, and remind me that I need to be in my body. And it was very eye-opening. And I hate that I blamed myself whenever I didn't feel what I thought I was going to feel. But it was nice to have you there to talk me through it and let me know that like it was okay and that's what was meant to happen.
Well, we're not really in charge, right? So we can't direct what happens. It does, and so what I kind of love about this particular medicine is that even like one time when I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in and we're going to keep clearing the mother thing. And, and they were like, yeah, right, whatever. Like, that's not where we're going today. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm like, I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And then like something whole different happened. There's a podcast from Shona Home called The Mushroom's Apprentice, because it's the other way around. It's like where you're guided to go, what you need is what you're going to get. And sometimes that's going to look very different for each person. And so I had to trust that that the mushrooms knew where to take you. I had to trust that this is what you needed. And when you got the body card, it made complete sense, because what it showed me was how much you weren't in your body, how you had disconnected from your body, how your spirit was literally not in your body. Like you were vibrating outside of, you weren't connected, you weren't grounded. And as a Virgo with a Pisces moon, that's very important for emotional stability, because you have that earthiness of the earth, but your emotional body was like all over the place and not really in your body. So when I saw what was happening and then we talked about it, and I realized there's no way, it's not like I didn't underdose you. Like this was a massive heroic dose. So so we have to go, well, what's the message? What do the mushrooms want you to know? And they wanted you to get connected. So really the proof is in the pudding. And in terms of, is that what the message that you needed, and did it work? So here's the question, Ashley. So you had come here with a certain level. In fact, why don't you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you have said your anxiety level was normally before you came here?
A 12.
Where is it now?
I would say a 5.
Okay. And when you first got home for a couple of weeks?
Oh gosh, a 2.
Okay. So we're thinking it's a 5 right now because of holidays and end of year stuff.
Holidays, end of year stuff. I've told you this. I've been without help with my son for about 6 weeks now. So that's been stressful. It's just, yeah, holidays and no help with the childcare.
Okay. So you were at a 12 before, and now you're at a 5, between a 5 and a 2. And you were at 2 for how long?
I would say 2 weeks.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the things that feels different in your body now.
I do feel more connected. I'm definitely more aware of my anxiety and what's causing it. One of the big things for me was I was going to my son's Christmas preschool little party, and I am prescribed Xanax for my anxiety. And usually, whenever I'm in a social situation where I do not know the people, I will take something to kind of ease my mind and maybe get out of my body a little bit. And I forgot. And I was on the ride there and I was already running late. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm just going to have to deal with it. And I started going through my feelings and needs list. And I was like, okay, I just need to accept that I can accept myself, that I can be okay with myself, and nobody's focusing on me. Like they're probably feeling the same thing. They're feeling awkward. They're feeling weird watching a bunch of 4-year-olds eat their cookies and stuff. So that was really pivotal to me. Like I didn't freak out, and I was able to talk myself down and realize what I needed out of the situation.
Great. Has anyone noticed? I mean, I know you'll probably only see your son and your husband, but has anyone else noticed a change in you?
Actually, Chase said, my husband, he said, you don't seem so sad. And that made me cry because he thought I was sad. Like, and it wasn't that I was sad, I was just stressed. And I had a lot of anxiety and I didn't know how to deal with it. So to him, it was coming off as sad. So it was a bittersweet moment. I was like, oh, that makes me sad. You thought I was sad, but I'm glad you can see that I'm happier.
Do you have any other examples of where you have, and that's a great one, of forgetting the Xanax and then like sort of using the tools that we talked about in order for you to problem solve
Yes.
the emotions that cause the anxiety. Has there been any other situations where you have noticed yourself behaving differently or reacting differently?
With my son, because we have had these like past 6 weeks of just us two and me having to work and him being out of school because of the holidays. I definitely have a lot more patience with him, um, and patience with myself, really. So I think that has eased our relationship.
That's good. Well, and I've done several and they're all different. And and I don't do it regular or anything. It's more like there was me experimenting with different doses and that kind of thing and different things. And so it's been a while, but they were all very different and they all had their each, their lessons. So would you say this was worth it?
Yes. I mean, it's hard to think like, I spent a good amount of money on something that I've already known, but the fact that I had to do that, I feel is worth it. Like, Ashley, like it's like the universe shaking me. Like, you've got to do the work. You've got to get in your body. And I mean, that's worth it to me.
Well, how else were we going to do it? Right? Like I think that like it sped up you learning. I mean, how many meditation classes would you have had to take? How many yoga classes? How much would you have had to done to get to the state that you got to within 2 hours and then could
Yes.
sustain for another couple of hours? There's a neurological programming that physical experience creates that thinking about things does not. And that's the difference of when you know something, but you don't integrate it, you don't live it, you don't embody it. And for you, it was, and I think that happens with a lot of people, especially who listen to the podcast or listen to podcasts or read a lot of books or listen to a lot of audiobooks. Like you get all this data, but it never makes it anywhere out of your brain into your body. And this is what you need. And you could have been like, okay, cool, I need that. And then how would you have gotten there without it? I'm not saying that you absolutely can. How much time would it have taken? How much unraveling, right? Because there's a certain amount of momentum in your brain that happens and habitual things that happened. And you did take the time to focus on this, right? So even if you had if you had taken a time and going to a meditation retreat, you would have gotten similar things, but your brain would have continued that well, your character one and your character two, your left brain basically would have continued to talk to you, spin, to judge, to analyze, to right. And we took that and silenced those. And the 3 and the 4 got to come in and go, whoo, I'm going to reconnect your brain to your body. So now we can disperse this emotional energy and we can activate just sort of your own personal energy, period. And so now this is what Ashley, it feels like. I have my ex-husband's friend. He is a lawyer. He's a Gemini. He way long ago in a past marriage of his, like he didn't drink or anything. And I'm not someone, and I don't know if I've told the story before. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but I'm not someone who's done recreational drugs. But I remember saying to him at one point, you need to smoke some pot one time because I wanted him to experience what coming down from the spinning felt like so that he knew where to go. And I think that to me is that's like a neurological experience that happens, you know, it happens in a big way. It's that's what this does. That's what doing something like this does for you. And while you can, so now you have this baseline of remembering. And I think, and I don't know if you've done it yet, one of the things I had suggested that you do was once a week or once like to take that playlist and go back into even 15 minutes of just lying still and seeing if you can connect to the feeling. Cause that is like exercise for you. That maintains that brain connection to the rest of your body so that you can tell the difference of when you're completely in your body. And my guess is that you probably haven't had time to do that in the last 6 weeks, which is probably why your 2 went to a 5. Am I right?
I got to do it once.
Okay. All right. And when you did it once, what happened?
I felt better and it reminded me to get into that flow state.
Yeah.
So, yeah, reminder.
It's the body and the physicality is so powerful. And when we can put ourselves in that physical stance, presence, situation, circumstance, that's why when you do guided visualizations, like one of my favorite is to think about like diving into a body of water. If you can visualize your head touching that cold water and then it being engulfed by that water, it should send chills down your whole body right now. If you can really visualize that, because it's a physical experience. That's why guided meditations and hypnosis do that. They get into the brain to make it a physical experience, to really make sure that the subconscious starts to set these new belief systems and starts to clear away some of the other stuff. So yeah, while it wasn't exactly, and I'm sure when you do it again, it'll be a different lesson and it'll be a different journey. But your initial thing was anxiety. And so here was the call. Here's the problem. I have anxiety. And they went, yep, okay, here's what you need to get into your body. Number one. And then I think the tools that we talked about with the core wound map and the rewiring pieces that I gave to you to do on your own and to continue to do, and how to process, when I did that, interview recently, that sort of submission, one of the things I struggled with was what to talk about because there was no theme. And so I thought, well, what am I going to talk about? And, this little older couple up the street, when we had our block party, asked me what I did. And, when you have a 90-year-old and an 87-year-old asking you what you do, they're not going to, they want to know what's the bottom line. So I said, I help people learn how to be happy. And they're like, oh my God, that's so important. That's so good. I was like, yeah, that's really the bottom line. And so that's what I'm going to lead with. But every step along the way, there might be a block to what the next level of happiness is for you. And for you, I think that there was no going anywhere else until they get into the body point, because that's where your intuition is. You can't feel intuition when you're not in your body. So, and now you know what being in alignment feels like, both physically and emotionally. So now you have a baseline moving forward to know when you're out of balance and tools to come back into balance. And so that's why experiences like this, or experiences like anything, ropes courses and, warrior camps and, things where you go off and you do crazy things. The point of it is to stretch you into a new comfort zone, to remind you and to teach you about what balance is, when you're out of balance, what your limits are, how to push through them. They all have, very good reason. When someone walks on fire or steps on glass, which I've done both, right? You have a new experience of life, of things that you can do. Or when you put bricks and boards in your backpack and you climb a mountain, like you just get pushed beyond what you think you can do, which then opens you up to more, because you're like, wow, I did that. And I did something I didn't think I'd ever be able to do, or something that seems freaking crazy. So I think that there's a certain level, and I can even hear it and see it in you now, of confidence and centeredness that you didn't have before. So
I agree. Like I had found it, and a lot of life changes have happened since our manifestation boot camp. Was that where we first met?
yep.
Because my family saw huge changes in me, and then life kind of changed, and I changed, and I kind of lost it. So it truly is priceless to, realize what you need to do to move forward and keep getting better.
Yeah, I remember you couldn't even be in the room. And like every time we took a break, you left the room from social anxiety in
Oh yeah.
2019. Now, 2019 to 2021, though, there was a big change in you.
Yes.
Huge change from 2019 to 2021 boot camps. But I remember, and you were brave and you really, really wanted what was on the other side of what you were doing, and you got that and you're living that now. And so now, but what wasn't taught and what wasn't focused on was, again, the tool of this emotional processing piece. So now you have that, and that can help you. Well, it's going to help you as long as you keep using it. But I think I don't know that there was going to be a more effective, faster way to get you connected to your body and in this way than what happened. I think that it was perfectly, but it was such a lesson for me too, because I had no idea what was going to happen either. And then, but again, the body card kept coming back to me, like, it's not just about taking care of your body, it's being in your body. And I was like, whoa, this is how far out of your body that you've been. And now we have to marry the two together so that way you can feel whole and grounded and solid and have calmness and understand psychologically and emotionally that you have tools now to that these things that go on in your head, the feelings that you had before can be changed, can be solved, can be mutated into, they're there for a reason, and ignoring them, withdrawing, and all the things don't help you feel good. So now you feel better. So any last words that you want to say for anyone who is considering this, or just in terms of things that you either learned or things you're looking forward to? I mean, what words might you have now?
I just feel I hope that people are open to it because it's not scary. I would recommend watching that documentary on Netflix because that's really what opened me up to it and seeing how life-changing it can be. And don't go in with expectations of what everybody else has experienced, because I did that to myself and then I disappointed myself, but I had a different lesson to learn. Um, so yeah, uh, be open and to what you need to learn, and be open to nature's medicine.
Totally. I learned so much from your experience too. Like a deeper level of trust, of that it's not just like what most people think is trickery of the mind, or visual things, or like
Yes.
getting lost or down a rabbit hole, and that didn't happen at all for you.
Mm-mm.
And it was like, wow, okay, this is a lesson she needed to learn, and this is how it looks. And boy, did it is it, because I checked in with Ashley a week later and 2 weeks later, and I said, how are you doing? And she said, I'm calm, I'm good, I'm still, you were probably at a 2 for, like you said, the first couple of weeks, from a 12. So,
Yes.
so now, okay, so now for you, at a 5 during the holidays, with 6 weeks without help with your son,
Mhm.
this is a time to go, okay, what do I need to do to get back into my body? Because we don't want to let it go too far back up, and then because you got used to that, like that was your normal. And I want you to come back to the practices that keep you at this new normal, which is going to be a 2, 3, or 4. And then when life happens, but then you have tools, but the goal is to come back down into the body and back into balance. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yay. All right. So if anybody is in the community, I'm sure Ashley would be fine if you wanted to message her on
Oh,
Facebook or something, if you
absolutely.
have any
Yes.
questions directly
Please reach
for
out.
her. Yeah, find her on Facebook, or anywhere else. Where would people find you? Or would you,
Uh,
Instagram?
Facebook. Oh, I guess if they're not in the Empower You, Facebook is going to be, that's the only social media that I do. So it's going to be Ashley McCathren, McChahren. And as far as I can tell, I am the only Ashley McCathren that is in the United States. So
Perfect. And her name will be in the show notes, of course, and you
okay.
can search her on Facebook if you want to ask her directly any questions about what she experienced or what she did. But yeah, I learned a lot too, and it was a pleasure and an honor to have you and to help you and to witness the lessons that you needed to learn. And I hope that all of the things that we did will continue with you. Mom, mom, mom. Your cat's like, I love you. You're good. It'll continue to, ground you and help you get to the next level of wherever you want to go.
Well, thank you for the opportunity and for being there for me. And it was just so good to see you in person and see your beautiful home. So I hope to come back and visit soon.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody. If you have any questions, you can look in the show notes below for anything to reach out and have any questions. If you want to learn more about how you might be able to experience that too, it's really just for people who are in my community that I maybe have worked with in some way, shape, or form. Obviously this is not for everyone, and I am not for everyone, and I don't have enough time to work with everyone. So, so reach out if you have any questions. And Ashley, thank you so much. And maybe we'll do a check-in with you in 6 months and see where you are.
That would be great. Thank you, JJ.
You're welcome.